More spirits, more boards, more tiles, more cards, everything that ever will and ever was. Where do you want to start? Hello everyone and welcome to another Beyond the Base Game review. This time we're looking at the second expansion of Spirit Island Jagged Earth. I know I said on my previous stream I was going to combine these into one video, but I'd already recorded Branch and Claw at that point, so what do you want me to do? But here I want to give a quick shout out to Greater Than Games for effectively sponsoring this video, really, because after I did the review for Spirit Island, the main game, they very kindly sent me a care package with everything else Spirit Island. So I already had Branch and Claw, but they sent me Jagged Earth, the promo stuff, the upgraded tokens, like these really nice chunky tokens. It's basically completed my collection of Spirit Island, and I can't thank them enough for it. So what is Jagged Earth? Well, Jagged Earth is, as you can see, big box expansion for Spirit Island. In fact, you are going to need the second box because there is no way you can store this game in one box. I'm not aware it's physically possible, especially if, like me, you have a folded space insert. Essentially, they've released a version of the folded space insert where you put one in the base box and one in the expansion box, and then you can store everything together with some room to spare. Not that this really needs any room to spare, put it that way. So Jagged Earth is effectively a smorgasbord of content, most of which you've seen before. It's essentially more variety. It's more of the good stuff, a lot more of the good stuff. Essentially, it kind of brings in a lot of elements that Branch and Claw already did, but then adds a few things on top of that and then bolsters up everything else. If you, for some reason, were thinking that Spirit Island didn't have enough variety before, well, this is the answer to your prayers. So where on earth do I begin? Well, as I say, all this stuff here, for the most part, except for some of these tokens and that, are new and unique to this expansion. So we've got 2 new island boards. You already had 4, well now you got 2 with some setups where certain terrain types are together, but like I say, why have they given you 2 more boards? Well, because this expansion can let you cater for games for 5 to 6 players. I cannot imagine what asylum you have escaped from if you want to play this game with 5 or 6 players.
5 is right out!
I have seen records on boardgamegeek and on the Spirit Island Facebook group where people have played solo games using 6 islands and multiple spirits. Like I said, what asylum? Seriously? I don't want to play this game with 4. I certainly I have no interest in playing this with 5 or 6. Never, ever, ever, ever. But if that was something you were going for, then oh well, you can do that right here. Personally, I just like the idea that I've got a couple of different setups for my solo or 2-player games that I tend to play of this. You've got the tokens that Branch and Claw had. So the Wilds, the Disease, the Strife, and the Beast tokens are all here again. Same rules, nothing's changed. These are used again, so if you knew what they did in Branch, you know what they do here, but it's great that they're repeated. Except now that as well as a couple of extra player colours, green and orange, you now have Badland tokens. Badland tokens are pretty straightforward, you don't use them a lot of the time, but what happens is essentially damage done to invaders and Tahan is increased by 1. Pretty simple, you get multiple Badland tokens in the region and the damage is going to start flying like crazy. I remember one multiplayer game I played where I ended up with 5 Badland tokens in one area. I tried to get everybody to push as many invaders as they could over to that one specific land, and it's just basically like lighting the match.
I'm a smoker.
Now, just like with Branch and Claw, you also have the event deck. This has been severely bolstered up in a nice way. 30 more event cards. That was something that the Branch and Claw expansion slightly missed out on. I mean, the event deck is great. I love the event deck and I will always use it. I know it's hit and miss as to whether people like it or not. But the original event deck in Branch and Claw was a little on the small side. You kind of rinsed through those quite quick, while adding another 30 to them is certainly bolstered it up in a nice way. I mean, you could have doubled that. You could have given me 60 event cards, it would have been even better, but 30 is still a good number. It means that I'm coming up with a lot of different events in each game as opposed to seeing the same ones rinse repeat. Now, as I say, rules for them exactly the same as they were in Branch. This is essentially the rinse repeat part of this video. And I think that's essentially it from Branch and Claw, those tokens and the event deck. Now, to bolster everything else, just generally, you've got 6 more fear cards. Wow. Yay. 6. We couldn't have done more. You gave us 30 event cards. You couldn't give us more than 6 fear cards? That just seems a little bit weird, but hey, more variety is always a good thing. On that note, 7 more Blighted Island cards as well, with a couple that mention that you can technically blight an island, but then the island is still healthy. So it effectively almost gives you another life, be it with some slight deprivation as well. So it's a nifty little idea. There was way more than enough Blighted Island cards, I think, to begin with. Having more of them, oh well, more variety. You've also got 3 more scenarios, and I must admit, I've not had a chance to play through all of these because I'm still a bit of a noob at this game, but more scenarios is good, although these are definitely suggesting that these are harder scenarios. I mean, one of them has you dealing with the invaders nicking something, another one has you, it actually says on here, veteran players may find it +0 difficulty, but for everybody else, +2 or 3. It's like, the game's hard enough as it is. And then you've got a few other ones like Great River as well. So 3 more scenarios, why not? You've also got 2 more adversaries. So you've now got the Habsburg monarchy and the Tsardom, is it Tsardom? I don't know how you pronounce it, but basically Russia and Habsburg. And these are not easy. These are not easy. Well, Russia is situational. Russia is all about like killing off a lot of your beast tokens, and it has another loss condition that if it kills enough beast tokens, they win. This one is kind of hit and miss on the difficulty depending on whether you actually utilize a lot of them or not. But Habsburg, base difficulty 2. This one is not an easy one. This one has a lot of stuff on there that I don't like to use. Like, this is one that's like, do I feel like a challenging game? Then I might pull out Habsburg. But yeah, it's definitely kind of up there with England as to being one of the harder adversaries that I have come across. You've also got a bunch of minor powers, so more minor powers, 33 of them in fact, 24 major powers, so more powers, always good. There was always a few powers in the minor and major powers where if they came up in the game, you were like, oh yeah, gotta have that, it's just such a good power. Well, now the deck is like twice as big for each, so suddenly it's not as likely you're gonna see those powers, and you're gonna have to like kind of be a bit more tactical, a bit more like adaptable with the strategies that you do, and like I say, more power variety is always good. One thing I do like from this though, and honestly, by the time you get to this expansion, I don't think you'll really care, but it's a nice little touch. They've got 2 expansion symbols on these cards, one for if you have Branching Claw, and one if you don't. But as I said, I don't recommend you get Jagged Earth before you get Branching Claw, so it's kind of a little redundant, but it's a nice touch. The amount of publishers that would not go as far as to do that is like a staggeringly high number. In fact, I would dare say Greater Than Games are the only one who would dare do that. So, you know, kudos for at least putting it in. It may be useful for some people. Let's get on to probably my 2 favourite bits about this whole expansion. Because as I say, pretty much everything I have described is either stuff you've already seen in Branch or like tons of stuff. But whoo-wee, look at this stuff. Right, we have got firstly aspect cards. These were in a promo pack as well. I love these. This is such a good thing. Essentially, it takes the low complexity spirits from the base set and adds a few extra powers that you can replace ones that they already had. So for example, let's take a Sunshine here. So it tells you if it ups the complexity or makes it equal or even lowers it in one case. But here you go. So for the River Surges, you forget one of its powers and gain an energy, and instead you get Boon of Sunshine's Promise with its own element rules and stuff like that. And I've seen these in use, I've tried a couple of them out, and they really do change up the spirits quite nicely. You might have previously played the spirit where you'll constantly like spam this 1 innate power. Well, now you replace it, or you might replace a special ability, and suddenly you gotta try something a little bit different. It breathes new life into a bunch of spirits that otherwise veteran players might have decided, yeah, you know what, I'm kind of done with these now. It's nice to see that it does that. And the promo packs, I mean, this is not part of Jagged Earth, but I got the promo packs. They add another like 5 or 6 in there as well. So by the time you've got everything, you've got a lot of different ways to tailor up those low complexity spirits. But as for the spirits in this box, wow. Were we really saying that we had not enough spirits from once we were done with the base game? Or even once we added in the 2 from Branching Claw? Okay, more spirits is nice. We weren't expecting 10. 10 spirit boards. This is insane. This is a lot of extra spirits. I mean, once you've got Jagged Earth, you will have no need for any more expansions, apart from maybe like bolster the card decks. That's kind of all I want at this point. If you're gonna bolster this anymore, give me more fear, give me more events, give me more major and minor powers, or give me more of these aspect cards. That's probably a better way. Don't give me brand new spirits, just give me more ways to tweak the existing ones, because I've lost track. What would you have? I think you had 8 in the base game, and then 2 in branch, and that's in what you got now, 20 odd spirits? That's a lot! And that's not including the ones you get in the promos, which give you another 2 each. So you're looking at somewhere between 20 and 24 spirits, I think, by the time you're done with this. It's insane the amount of variety here. But one thing about these spirits that I have seen, and this is another reason why I say you should not get this before branch, the complexity level of these spirits are considerably higher than the base set ones, like even the high complexity ones out of the base set. These ones have, what, 2 of them that say moderate? But even those, I think, are quite different, and maybe should be considered high complexity. Lure of the Deep Wilderness is a moderate, but it's basically the opposite to Ocean's Hungry Grasp, which was high from the previous one. It's like that the ocean wanted coastal lands, this one wants inlands. Okay, similar deal, but it restricts you on the island. And then the other moderate is, I think it's a volcano, is it? Oh no, there's a couple more moderates in there. There's 3 moderates. So you've got Stone's, Unyielding Defiance, which requires you to play the game in a very different fashion than you're used to. You're actually welcoming Blight on your island, which is not something that's programmed into your system when you're playing other spirits. And then on top of that, you've got Volcano Looming High, which is apparently a moderate spirit, yet I have yet to win with this spirit because I just can't fathom how on earth you're supposed to play him properly. Granted, like I said, I'm a noob, not particularly good at the game, so tactics are something that I'm using the Facebook group for. In fact, shout out to the Spirit Island Facebook group. Seriously, I think it's just called Spirit Island Board Game. I'm a member of that thing. I'm posting up pictures all the time when I play it, but seriously, it's a very good community. They've got polls, they've got photos, everybody's out to help everybody. Nobody's in each other's faces. It's a really nice community. So if you're a fan of this game, go join that Facebook group. Tell them I sent you. But these ones, like I say, these are not moderate. I think they're pretty complex. But then you get into the ones that actually are high complexity. In fact, there's a couple here that say very high complexity. There's one here called Fractured Day Split the Sky. He is a very high complexity person. And yeah, you only have to look at some of the symbology on their growth patterns to go, what on earth is this one all about? They've got some really weird abilities. This is definitely not for the faint-hearted. I mean, these spirits are all fun to play. Well, I don't know. Volcano I'm a little bit like hazy on because I just can't get used to it. But there are some really good unique ones in here. I mean, the Shroud of Silent Mist likes to injure invaders and get them to generate fear. Doesn't have a lot of energy but moves around a lot. Stone's Defiance is very good at, go on, blight my island. I can resist, I can take blight out of the box and not off my card. But I am going to hit you hard once I get a chance to retaliate. The Grinning Trickster Stirs Up Trouble, has like a power that lets you flip a card off the deck as a random ability on a land. It's hit and miss as to whether it works right, but boy, is it fun to play. Lure of the Deep Wilderness, I've already mentioned. It lures people inland and then swallows them up. It converts a lot of towns and cities into explorers, which is also quite handy. Starlight Seeks Its Form is kind of like a tweak your own spirit. It's got umpteen amount of different ways that you can unlock like growth and presence on here, and you kind of just cherry pick what ones you want to do in a game, which is cool. If you want variety, like it's basically DIY spirit. It's pretty cool, but yeah, very high complexity. Shifting Memory of Ages. Not as good in the solo game, I find, but pretty good in multiplayer. It's very good at getting like major powers out. It's got high energy growth, and doing element marker stuff. But it's really better when in a multiplayer session because it really does bolster other spirits very nicely, as I have found out. Vengeance of the Burning Plague. This one is, you remember Stones wanted you to play in a different style? Well, have fun with this one, because this one actually wants you to blight the land as much as possible, because you basically turn it into damage and you can disease the land. And I mean, by the time you're finished with the Vengeance as a Burning Plague spirit, I'm not sure you actually want to live on the island anymore. It's kind of screwed over. But one of my favourites, I'd say one of my favourites out of this set is Many Minds Move as One. It's basically a flock of birds and pests and flies and stuff. But this one is another one a bit like the Sharp Fangs Behind the Leaves. It uses beast tokens to a great extent. Not too difficult to play either. It's another moderate difficulty. Okay, there was more than I thought in there. But it's very good at controlling and fear, and I must admit, control and fear I think is the best way I like to play this game. I love fear generators, but this one I had a lot of fun with. This one can get pretty powerful if you're not careful. But yeah, 10 spirits. Yeah, that's Jagged Earth. Jagged Earth is basically a bumper box full of awesome stuff for a game that was already awesome before. So, you know, Branch and Claw took a 10 out of 10 game and made it 11 out of 10. Well, this now makes it 12 out of 10. It really is an expansion that all veterans of Spirit Island are going to want and are going to need and they're going to love. No question about that. But I have to put the caveat in. I don't recommend that this is the first buy when you get Spirit Island. I therefore do not consider this to be essential expansion. You know, I've got a top 10 coming up for that very soon, if not already. But I don't consider this essential. This is definitely upping the complexity level. These powers are not exactly simple powers. They've got a lot of nuances to some of them. And these spirits, even though some of them say moderate, they are still pretty different spirits overall. And the ones that are high complexity and very high complexity are very high complexity. This is definitely like a step up above anything that Branch and Claw and the base set did. So I don't recommend that players who are just starting off with Spirit Island suddenly jump into this expansion, because I think it's going to overwhelm them. Just take it easy, get used to Spirit Island, maybe get Branch and Claw more essential, because I consider that one to be more essential because it's a stepping stone with the tokens and 2 more spirits and a few extra bits, and obviously the event deck, which I think improves the game anyway. But then it's not quite as much as what this is throwing into you. So I still think Branch and Claw first, then Jagged Earth. But it's still like a 10 out of 10 expansion for me. It's still fantastic. I mean, all this content for this game just makes it better and better. More variety is great. This is basically what Great Indian games do best. They stick so much variety in a game that you never really have the same game twice. It's great. It's a bumper box full of goodies. And like I say, I love it. So that's it for me. If you can, please leave a like on the video. It means a lot to me to hear that you support the content. But of course, you might want to check out some other Spirit Island related videos I've done, such as the Branch and Claw review that I did for Beyond the Base Game, and also the actual review I did for Spirit Island itself, where I go off on a bit of a slightly over-enthusiastic trend, it must be said. But like I say, feel free to check out what you can on the channel, and I'll see you next time. Take care, and remember, it's only a game. Bye for now.